Traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. What's the difference? Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the My Father Said podcast, where we discuss all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm both a father and a son.
Hey, everybody, it's me again. I'm Tim Albergatti. I'm also a son and a father.
And today, we want to talk to you guys about traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs.
Right.
What's the difference? Why does that matter? And which one might be more suitable for you? And so with that, we'll get into it.
That's right.
But Tim, what you been up to lately, man?
Well, being a dad is my full-time job away from here. So 100% invested in that. And then I come in here and I just aggravate Ryan on a day-to-day basis about IRAs. So he's going to explain it to everybody today, including me.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So you guys, for the listeners who maybe have tuned in for the first time or it's been a while, you and Abby already have one little girl, Kinsley, and you guys have another on the way, correct?
We do, yeah. We're Kinsley's 1, and I don't know if it's something in the air around here. Ryan had 2 under 2, so we have a little boy due in November, and Kinsley won't turn 2 until May. So it's a while. And so we'll have 2 under 2 for, 6 months there? So it's going to be a live wire at the house.
And the front runners for names was Ryan, and then Robert was in second place, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's good. That's good. I think Abby would love that.
She would be ecstatic.
That's good. Well, cool. Well, all right. We'll go ahead and get into it, talking about the IRAs. You may have heard about an IRA before, maybe from your advisor, maybe from us, maybe from coworkers, or maybe you saw it on the internet. So the IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account or Individual Retirement Arrangement, and that depends on who you ask. We've heard both of those before. But basically what that is just a vehicle that individuals can use to save for retirement outside of work. Some people might think, hey, my work doesn't have a 401k, so I'm not going to be able to save for retirement. This is basically what IRAs exist for, is for people who, don't have that option that they can save for work. So,
if you're self-employed or if you just want to stack up some more cash and beat out on some taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the traditional IRA, talk about some of the ins and outs, and then Tim's going to talk to us about the Roth IRA. But the traditional IRA, or I would say the biggest difference between a traditional IRA and Roth IRA is tax treatment. Whether you pay the taxes now or you pay the taxes
later
in retirement.
That's right. Yep.
So traditional IRAs, they are the ones where you make the contributions now and it lowers your taxes now, this year. The year that you made the contributions, it lowers your taxes.
Yep.
But when you get to retirement, that's when you're going to pay those ordinary income taxes on the traditional IRA contributions and the growth that's in the account.
That doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, right. It's just always getting taxed. You always get taxed.
Yeah.
So
shoot.
So that's the traditional IRA. Also, contribution limits for the traditional IRA. You in the year of 2024, you can make contributions up to $7,000 into the traditional IRA.
And is that standard for all ages, or does that?
No. So that's just under age 50. So if you're 50 or older, you can do an additional catch up of $1,000. So if you have access to a traditional IRA and you're under 50, you can put $7,000 away this year. That can lower your taxes. If you're 50 and older, you can put a total of $8,000 away. Again, lowers your taxes, helps you save for retirement.
Yep. And why in 2024 is it 7,000? Is it not going to stay 7,000 forever?
So historically, the numbers change. Just a few years ago, the number was at 6,000, and just a few years ago, the number was at 5,000. So it's not a guarantee that it's going to go up every year. It's not a guarantee that it's going to go up by the same amount every year. But history past, those contribution limits have continued to increase, which I'm happy for it. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Helps you save more. So
That's right. That's right.
The other big piece, or I guess characteristic of the traditional IRA is at some point you have to start taking money out. Very similar to like a 401k. If you are, under the age of 70, this applies to you. At age 73, you will start having to take something called required minimum distributions, unless the IRS goes in and changes that rule. But at 73, you have to start taking required minimum distributions.
As of today,
and that might change. But that's basically, is basically this. You've been putting this money away, avoiding income tax. The market has been growing. Your money has been growing. The growth is avoiding taxes. And at some point, the government's like, hey, we want our taxes on that, so we're going to make you start taking money.
That doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't. You worked so hard to save all that money, and they're going to make you take it out.
And you're going to make me take these distributions. What if I want to take smaller distributions?
Yeah, you can't. Too bad.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's not fair.
Yeah, so that's one of the key features of it. And then, lastly, one of the characteristics of a traditional IRA is if you pull out money after 59 and a half, you don't have a penalty that you have to pay. You still owe the income tax, but there's no penalty. If you pulled money out of the traditional IRA before 59 and a half, you're going to have not only ordinary income tax, but you're also going to have a 10% penalty on the distribution of that IRA. Yep. So 1,000-foot view, that is, basically the characteristics of a traditional IRA.
Yep. Now you can be Team Ryan and be traditional IRA, or you can be Team Tim and be a Roth IRA. Let me break that down for you.
We did this backwards. You're Tim. You should have done traditional. I'm Ryan. I should have done Roth. Scott, we're going to start over, and we're going to do that.
These guys are doing great. Everybody give them a round of applause. Big round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, goodness. So Roths, also a tax advantage account, such as the traditional. One of the main and the biggest differences is your tax dollars. You still have to pay taxes this year. So you're like everybody else. You're going to have to make tax payments. The advantage, though, is that come retirement, any of that money, any of that growth, you're not going to have to pay any taxes on that distributions. It's all going to be is whatever you want to spend it on. You don't have to pay any taxes except on the item that you want to buy. They're probably going to still charge you a sales tax. If you're getting the memo here, taxes don't go away.
That's good. Yeah.
Yep. So that's one of the big advantages. Your growth is going to grow tax-free. And that's what we're after. If you can get that growth to grow tax-free, that's all the bells and whistles. That's you making tax-free money right there, and your money's doing it for you, and you're not out in the hot heat, sweat, anywhere working to make that money. Contribution limit-wise, pretty much the same as the traditional. At 59 and a half, you can start taking distributions penalty-free, and limit-wise is $7,000 as well.
Yep. Unless we're over 50.
Unless we're over 50,
the 8,000.
Then you get that catch-up contribution, and that's to help out, someone who's starting late, trying to help get them catch up. So, and then same thing as with the limits, they could continue to go up. It, depends on the IRS, what they deem plausible. And some of those, I think, tie into inflation and trying to help pace
Yeah.
with that. Yep.
And that's one of the cool things is because if inflation goes up, sometimes they'll increase those numbers or the contribution limits. But if inflation goes down, they haven't really decreased the contribution limits. So that's a, if you're planning on, investing for a few decades, that's a good thing because inflation may go up, it may go down, but historically, once those IRA contributions get to a certain number, they don't reduce how much you can put away. Not to say that, that might not change in the future, but just history past.
Yep. And so here's a big benefit. You can be at any age. You don't have to touch that money in your IRA as long as you're alive. That money can stay there in a Roth. There's no required minimum distribution age. You can hit 73, that money can stay there, and it can still grow tax-free.
Why don't you think they have RMDs on Roth IRAs?
I don't know. I think most of that, I guess, comes from our paying those tax dollars out right now. They're getting their hands on those tax dollars now. So if something we didn't put in here, the money that you can contribute into any of these accounts, it's got to be earned income.
Oh yeah.
So at some point in time, you're gonna, may go into retirement and you start making more money and you can't contribute into the Roth because it's not earned income.
Right.
So it can't be passive income coming in from real estate or
pensions or even Social Security. None of those count for contribution purposes. None of those count as earned income. Right. Now you still get taxed on them, so I don't know how that makes any sense. But you can't.
Now, what tax structure do they use? Do they use the income tax structure on those as well? Correct.
On the like Social Security and stuff. Yeah. So Social Security, it's got its own how they calculate the tax, but your pension is taxed as ordinary income, so your federal income tax bracket, but they don't count it as earned income.
So same as earned income, but it's not.
But the same, but different.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then another cool thing about the Roth IRA that the traditional IRA doesn't have is you're able to pull your contributions out of the Roth IRA penalty and tax-free.
Hear what he said, your contributions.
Yeah. So now we wouldn't really ever recommend someone pulling out money out of their Roth IRA before 59 and a half because it's just, defeating the purpose, right? You're pulling up your tree before it's got time to root. But in the event that something happens and you had to pull money out, if you only have a traditional IRA, you're going to get hit with ordinary income tax and the 10% early withdrawal penalty.
Yep.
If you've got the Roth, you can pull your contributions out penalty-free and tax-free. The reason it's tax-free is because we've already said you've already paid the taxes on that. And then there's no penalty because you haven't avoided taxes with your contribution. You've already paid taxes on it, so when you pull it out, they don't tax it. So that's another benefit of the Roth IRA.
Yep. You can still contribute, get that growth, but heaven forbid something comes up, you have some access to money that you could use in a pinch. So
yep, and that's lifetime contributions. That's not like hey, this year I made a $3,000 contribution. I can only pull out $3,000. Yep. Now, if you've been, if you've put $3,000 in for 20 years, then that number is your contributions. Yep. So yeah, again, 1,000-foot view on the Roth IRA. The biggest difference in the two is traditional IRAs can lower your taxes in the year you make the contributions.
That's right.
When you get to retirement age and you start drawing it, you're going to owe income taxes, and you've got those pesky RMDs you're going to have to start taking at 73. Yep. So that's that. And then the Roth is, hey, you put the money in now, it doesn't lower your taxes, but it's going to grow for the rest of your life tax-free.
Yep.
There's no taxes when you pull it out, and there's no RMDs. So, as you're listening to this, you might be asking yourself, hey, which one makes more sense to me? That's a good question. And that's something that we could always help with. But one of the things to just have in the back of your mind is, hey, do I want a tax break right now this year, or do I want a tax break and in retirement?
Yep.
So those are some of the questions. So,
right.
All right. So, again, the traditional IRA, that might make sense for someone who thinks they're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. So, the thought process there is, if you are making contributions into your traditional IRA, it's probably in an attempt to avoid income taxes. Let's say you're in the 24% tax bracket.
Okay.
If you're putting money into the traditional IRA, you're avoiding 24% on that contribution.
Yep.
If you get to retirement, though, and let's say you've got money in a Roth IRA, or you've got money in investments that are taxed as capital gains rather than income tax, and let's say, looking at all your numbers in retirement, you're at a 12% tax bracket, it may make sense for you to say, hey, I'm going to avoid the 24% tax on this money, and I'll take the 12% tax in retirement. That's one of the things to consider about a traditional IRA is, hey, what do I think my tax bracket is going to look like in retirement? If it's lower, it might make sense to avoid the taxes now.
So you're telling me I'm going to go into retirement spending less money?
There is a chance. There is a so
I guess I'm not going to be driving to work.
Yeah, right. Yep. So like we'll take us for example. Both you and I have mortgages. Mm-hmm. Both you and I have kids in the home.
Oh yeah.
Both of us are going to be paying for diapers for a long time. And we've got old vehicles, right? Yep. So we've got all of that. Yep. When we get to retirement,
I sure hope to have that house paid off.
Yeah, hopefully you've got the house paid off.
Yep.
The kids are going to be out of the house. And if you are paying for diapers, it'll probably be for,
myself.
We're using them ourselves.
That's right.
Shout out to Depends.
They're not a sponsor, but they could be.
But if you want to be, Depends. But yeah, so that's one of the things to think of. Right now, it costs you, a significant amount to function and keep your family running.
Yep.
When you get to retirement, if you've got no debt, no car payments, no mortgage, no credit card debt, you don't have kids that you're raising, buying food for, putting through college, you don't have any of that stuff going on, you could theoretically pull less money out and still have the same standard of living because you're not having so much to spend it on.
Right.
So that's
so then I could be in a lower income tax bracket.
You can be in a lower tax bracket. And then another way that you might be in a lower tax bracket is, let's say that, again, you've got a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. You're not going to be paying any taxes on that. If you've got money that are in, after tax brokerage accounts, those are taxed at capital gains, completely separate from your income tax bracket. So there are a number of reasons why you might be in a lower tax bracket in retirement.
Yep.
So, and then one of the other things is, a Roth IRA. It might make sense for you to contribute to a Roth IRA if you're going to be in a higher tax bracket at retirement. So no one can tell the future. If we could, me and Tim would be on an island somewhere, but no one can tell the future.
No, I definitely got the jackpot wrong last night, so I'm still here.
I have not won the Powerball yet.
Yeah.
So. But if you're going to be in a higher tax bracket, it makes more sense. And so we don't know what tax brackets are going to be like in the future, but we have seen that, over time, taxes get a little higher. And so,
so
there's a chance.
Taxes have never come down either. That's what you're telling me.
Maybe a little bit, and, blips here and there. But I mean, again, I made this joke before and I'll make it again. In 1776, right? There was not very much taxes in America when we had independence. Well, now here we are, and you could be paying up to 30 some odd % in taxes. So over time that has increased.
Yep.
But there may have been, different blips and stuff where like Congress will come in or the president will come in and they'll make an adjustment and the taxes go down. But over time they tend to trend upwards.
Yep.
And so, if you're uncertain about that and you're worried about it and you don't want to deal with what the taxes are going to be like in retirement, fund a Roth IRA because
right.
there's not going to be any taxes.
Yep. You get to avoid all those income taxes. Mm-hmm. You still may have some of those sales taxes.
Sales tax. What's it called when you buy cigarettes? That's an excise tax. Is that what that's called, Scott? Scott's looking it up.
Yeah, trying to think. That sounds very.
Yeah. So anyway, you're going to have taxes on stuff. It's just not going to be income tax, right? And you'll have all this other stuff. Another reason you might be in a higher tax bracket in retirement is, let's say you took an advisor's advice and you started investing.
Hey, Ryan got it right. Excise tax.
Excise tax. That's what you got on the cigarettes. So yeah. So if you buy tobacco, that's it.
Excise tax.
Excise tax. Excise tax. That's a lot of
yeah, tongue twister.
Also known as sin taxes federally.
Sin taxes. Yep.
Wow.
Thank you, Scott. But the
is that spelled SIN? Yep. Wow. Okay, there you go.
Do they have the sin tax on alcohol?
It can be implemented on different levels.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Across the board.
Depending, yeah,
on the product.
On the product.
So maybe you could consider vape tax a sin tax.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Vape tax. But the other thing, let's say that someone has been investing since they were 18 years old, and they've been listening to advisor and they've been putting 10, 12, 15, 20% of their income away, into their 401k.
Goodness.
And they are looking and they're going to have a sizable amount in their 401ks. Let's say a few $1 million in their 401k. And they're thinking, man, I am going to get killed with taxes. What they can start doing, if their income allows it, they can start funding a Roth IRA so that when they get to retirement, they've got basically two pots they can pull money from. The 401k that was all pre-tax and they're going to owe income tax, and then the Roth IRA where they're not going to owe taxes. And so if a general rule of thumb, and not always the 100% correct answer, but a general rule of thumb is if you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, Roth IRA contributions might make sense. Mm-hmm. If you're very confident you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, traditional IRA might make sense for you.
Okay. Here's a question. Let's say I want to contribute to a 401k, max it out. Mm-hmm. Can I still max out either a traditional or a Roth IRA? Are there any limits or hang-ups there?
So maxing out the 401k, that wouldn't affect it. Okay. But where there is limits, is based off of your income and whether or not you or your spouse is covered by a plan. And so we'll dive into that a little bit. A Roth IRA, you can make contributions into a Roth IRA. If you're married, file your taxes jointly. You can contribute to a Roth IRA up to your income being $230,000. Once it gets to $230,000, there starts to be a phase out, which is basically the IRS says, hey, you can't contribute the full amount, all the way up to $240,000. And then at $240,000, you can't contribute anything. So if you're married, file your taxes jointly and you're wanting to contribute to a Roth IRA, anything less than $230,000, you're golden.
Now, how about if you put in your 401k and the contributions they bring you under that $230,000 limit? can you then contribute to a Roth?
Oh yeah, so it's based off of your adjusted gross income, so after deductions and stuff. So that's great. That's great. 401k contributions. You know, if you take the standard deduction, which is 27,000.
It was 24,000, but like inflation, it's probably been pushed up a little.
Scott's going to look it up for us.
Thanks, Scott.
We are looking up the what's the standard deduction for 2024. But yeah, so things that are going to lower your taxes, lower your adjusted gross income, if that puts you under that 230, you're golden.
Single or married filing separately, 14,600. Married filing jointly, 29,200. Head of household, 21,900.
There you go. 29,000. We were both wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you're looking at your taxes and you think, oh man, I made $240,000. I don't think I can contribute. And then you talk with your CPA and he's like, hey, no, we're going to take the standard deduction. That's going to put you below that threshold. You're golden.
Yep.
One of the things though, and this, I didn't know this. I think I had been working 2 or 3 years before I knew this. If you are married and file your taxes separate, you can only make $10,000. Anything more than 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
Would minimum wage surpass $10,000?
Yeah, I think
it would.
Yeah, I think that if you work a part-time job, I think you're going to make more than 10 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
They really don't want people that are, you said married
filing separate. So I don't know why that's the case.
Why you would file married filing separate?
I had a CPA tell me one time that it was because if you're married, there's some statistic that if you're married and file separate, some percentage of those people end up getting divorced in like the next 3 years. I don't know the exact numbers or whatever, but the CPA I was talking to said, hey, that's why we think the IRS does that, is because when that happens and there's like the splitting of assets and all the tax changes and stuff, they want to make it as easy as possible on the IRS. And so I don't know how factual that is, but that's what a CPA told me.
Yeah.
So that's the Roth IRA. If you've got a 401k and you're maxing it out, and you make under that threshold, you're good. You can contribute to it.
Okay.
Where there starts to be a little bit of differentiation is with the traditional IRA. So the traditional IRA, you can always contribute to the traditional IRA. It's just a matter of whether or not you can deduct those contributions. So if you are a single person and you are covered by a plan at work, let's say you're a W-2 employee somewhere and you've got a 401k.
Okay.
If you make less than $77,000 in 2024, you can contribute to the 401k and you can deduct all of your contributions into a traditional IRA. If you make more than that 77,000, it starts to phase out where you can't deduct the contributions into the traditional IRA.
Now, wait a minute. Hold up. Let's think about that. So does the adjusted gross income come into play in that as well?
Yep.
So it does.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take the standard deduction and if your 401k contributions bring you under that 77,000,
that's right.
You're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's say you're right there at it, 78,000. Then you can't make those traditional IRA contributions, but you could make a Roth IRA contribution.
That's right. And so that's the best thing. So just for argument's sake, if it was 78,000, you can still contribute part of it because you haven't been fully phased out. But the question is, if I wouldn't be able to deduct the contributions, you're still going to have to pay taxes in retirement because it's a traditional IRA.
Yep.
Wouldn't it make more sense to put it in the Roth IRA? So that's the strategy. And then you'd have to look at your income, if you're under the threshold for contributing to a Roth IRA.
Man, So there's not a one size fits all IRA, is there?
Nope. You know, it is crazy how not clear the tax law is and how complicated all these rules are.
It is. It is. You know, I came in prepped and ready, and then as we've talked, I feel less prepped and ready.
I don't know anything about IRAs.
This is how it is today, but come back next year, this all could be different.
Yep. And so to add even more mud to the water, we're going to talk a little bit about, traditional IRA contributions, if they can be deducted, if you and your spouse are covered by a plan, an employer retirement plan, or if just one of you are. So if you're married and you are filing your taxes jointly, and we're going to use you and Abby, for example.
We file separate. I'm just kidding.
We can't make more than $10,000. So if you and Abby are married filing jointly.
Okay.
So the IRS allows, let's say Abby wasn't working, which Abby does work. She hustles.
Yep. She's the breadwinner.
That's right. That's right. Matter of fact, when we were talking today, Tim and Abby were on the phone earlier. Abby had been working since 4 a.m. and
Yes.
Tim got into work at 10 o'clock.
Yep. I know my place. I know my place. I have to take care of the diapers and all that fun stuff, keeping the kids happy. So
That's good. That's good. So, but let's say, you're married and Abby wasn't working. You are able to contribute for a spouse's IRA, even if they're not working. That's just a spousal benefit for IRAs. So Abby could have no earned income, but since you do,
yep.
you can contribute to both. But so
that's great. So that way, if I'm limited to my IRA, since we're married, we could actually, instead of putting just, $7,000 away because I'm under 50, we could actually double that and put $14,000 away.
Yep, 7 in yours, 7 in hers.
Nice.
So, yep.
Nice.
So the cool thing about that is, since Abby wouldn't be covered by a employer's plan, she's not working.
That's right.
You could always deduct those contributions. Now, let's say you wanted to contribute, but you're covered by a plan at work. If you make more than $123,000, now your contributions can't be deducted.
Wow. The Rubik's Cube continues to turn.
The Rubik's Cube continues.
Goodness gracious.
So now let's do this. Let's say that you're working.
Okay. Working.
And Abby is working.
Okay.
You're covered by a plan. Abby is not.
All right.
You can contribute to a traditional IRA and make the deductions so long as your income is under $123,000.
Okay.
Abby can contribute to a traditional IRA, and so long as her income is under $230,000, she can deduct the contributions.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might miss that by a couple of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, she's been working at 4 a.m.
Now that's her income separate from my income, or that's combined income is what you're saying? 230.
Oh, that's the so it'll be based off of how you file your taxes. So married filing jointly. So yeah. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
But yeah, and then again, going back to the married filing separate. If you're married filing separate, whether it's a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, if you make more than $10,000, they won't let you make contributions.
To either.
Yep, to either one.
Oh.
So
Yep. So let's not do that. Got it. Check. How about 401ks? Any hang-ups there? If you have an employer plan, you can still contribute to that. Is that right? If you're married, filing separately.
yeah. So if you're married filing separately, you can still contribute to a 401k, because again, the IRA is outside of the employer.
Yep.
401k is through the employer.
Okay.
So
God forbid anyone ever was in that position where you're going through a divorce. You still can contribute to your 401k. You don't have to have those worries.
Yep.
Nice. So all this to say, which one should you choose? So, we'll kind of circle back. some of the right things or some of the things to consider, whether it's suitable for you. You know, are you seeking a tax deduction now? Are you expecting, hey, I might be in a lower tax bracket come retirement? You know, I don't think my expenses are going to be as high, or I may have a Roth 401k that I'm going to be pulling out of, so I'm not going to need as much. You know, I'm not going to have a higher tax bracket. You know, if you don't qualify for the Roth because your income limit, you know, what's the income limit again?
For which one?
A Roth. If you want to contribute to a Roth, where's the cutoff?
If you're married filing jointly, the phase out starts at 230.
230 for married. Single, right off?
Single, I think it's about half of that.
Okay, so we'll say 115,
yeah,
but
I
it
don't
may
have
fluctuate a few. So that's the things to keep in mind, you know, off the cuff. Now, if you're worried and you want to talk deeper into it, that's why we're here. Come talk to us. We can definitely dive deeper, and we'd love to do that. Now, if we're thinking about a Roth, who's that suitable for? Who might that be, Team Ryan?
Yeah, so I like how we did that. You did the traditional this time, and we did the Roth. Look at that. Thinking on your feet, switching it up. Yeah, no, the Roth is good for you know, individuals who think they're going to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, or they want to avoid RMDs.
Okay.
That's, I mean, and that's it. And then obviously, you know, depending on how your income is made, or what your income range is, you know, you may be forced into one or the other, right? You know, you might say, hey, I'm not covered by a work plan and I make too much money for a Roth IRA.
Yep.
Well, then the choice is kind of made for you. You got to go with the traditional, or, you know, you might say, hey, I can contribute to both a traditional and a Roth, but I can't deduct my traditional contributions. Yep. Well, then it would just make sense to do the Roth. So yes, we want to think into the future of, you know, hey, what's my tax situation going to be like in retirement? Mm-hmm. What am I thinking about my other assets? What am I thinking about RMDs? But then we've also got to play within the rules that we've got. And if you're forced into one or the others, either it might be, you know, be by income or you're covered by a plan, then we just have to do that dance.
Yep.
So that is about it. Like we said, we wanted to talk to you guys today about, you know, what a traditional IRA was, what a Roth IRA was, the difference and who it might make more sense for. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be what you guys want. If you need help figuring out what that looks like or what you want or what makes sense, feel free to give us a call. You know, our contact information is on here. We'd love to talk with you guys and get something set up, or at least answer questions for you and make some clarity. Yep. But with that being said, this has been another episode of the My Father Said podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Tim.
And we thank you for being here with us. We look forward to seeing you next time.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.